And welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Let's Talk Nutrition Coast to Coast, globally, the 2019 edition of LTN. There we go. And hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good week. We made it through the week. As I always say, made it another week. Great, right? And a lot going, as always, as I always tell you, there's so much going on. Just perusing the news feeds and one story after another. And we'll get to some of it. Hopefully it will inform you. It can help you make better decisions, better choices about your health, wellness, and well-being. That's what we're all about here. And we've been featuring in the background a lovely shot from Clearwater, Florida, the beach. Yeah, under a palm tree, so to speak. Camera keep moving, is it me?
It's that seat. It's that chair. That chair needs to go down just a hair.
There you go.
There you go.
How about that? No. How about the camera go up about 2 feet? And we have a guest in the studio. I'll let Gary introduce you to him. Just met him when I walked in. And Gary will explain. You're always invited to connect with the show. It is about contact, after all, right? And I am very much interested in what your questions are, what you're thinking about relative to health, wellness, and well-being, medical issues, whatever. Anything health-related, nutrition-related, what you're thinking about, what you've tried, questions you may have about what to do with your diet, your lifestyle. Even if it's off topic, not to worry. You call in. And all we need, Gary, is some people to be walking by, and that would be nice.
I'll put you in a mall setting here in a second.
We've been experimenting with this green screen that's behind me, different backgrounds. It's just production values, this and that. We're experimenting. So I have a lot on my mind. The stories that I'm going to share with you are varied today, you'll see. And in the second hour, Stephen Augustine is going to be coming along. Stephen's very good, knows what he's talking about, and we'll see what he has to say. We have great guests on the show. That's been a constant. In chemistry, the letter K is for constant. That's been a constant on the show. We've been very fortunate. But if you want to connect, we've now found all kinds of ways to do that. Gary's going to tell you.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. On Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition. Like us, share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition. And on our YouTube channel, where everything is closed captioned for the hearing impaired, and up there and archived by date at Let's Talk Nutrition on YouTube.
There you go. There's
58,000 views, Doc.
How many?
58,000 views.
58,000 views. Those are real. What that means is people went to YouTube 58,000 times. Some may be repeated. I don't know. I don't have those data, but they went there, and 58,000 times somebody clicked the button to watch some episode of Let's Talk Nutrition. That's pretty cool. What you see there that's a very organic shot if you're watching the show. Gary's in there, his arm is in there, and there's Gary. Hi, Gary. Say hi to your mama.
Hey, Mom.
I say hi to my mom every day. And then, of course, you can see it's organic. That's Rough and Ready. You see it just like it is. And then you'll see a young man sitting there. He's new to the show. And Gary's going to Gary, why don't you introduce him?
Okay, this is James. He's our new intern. He goes to Hillsborough Community College.
Which is a very good school here in the Tampa Bay area, by the way.
It is one of the only accredited media
programs
in the area.
Yeah, I taught at HCC off and on, because I like to teach, and you don't teach for the money, brother.
No.
You teach because you enjoy it. And Community colleges are a wonderful element to our society, to our culture. They have provided young people, people generally, you'll find older students now, an opportunity to advance their career, their life. Maybe they couldn't afford to go to a four-year school, or maybe their grades weren't all that great coming out of high school. Community college, and by the way, sometimes people go to the community college for the first 2 years because it's cheaper. You're going to get, and the instruction may be even better because you're not getting graduate students, you're getting professors teaching you. So there's all kinds of reasons why I'm a big fan, I'm a big supporter of community college. James, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. It's great to have you on, buddy.
Thanks for having me in the studio. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. So you're about ready to graduate from school?
Absolutely.
From HCC?
Yep.
And we were talking about I asked him what he was going to do next, get his bachelor's, most likely in broadcasting. He has two choices in Florida. Well, there's three. You got University of Miami, but University of South Florida, University of Florida, and I don't know about University of Miami. I don't know about their communication program there, but he has a couple of choices, and we'll see what he does. But he's going to help us. In what way, Gary, is he going to support the show?
He's going to help me work with social media a little bit more. We're going to do some things with graphics, maybe change over some of the imaging.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And then he's got experience. He's got prior experience in being on radio and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he can help out with doing events and then our little vignettes that we're going to do. So production value.
So James, you look to be about 19, 20, somewhere in there?
I'm 22.
22. Okay. Social media. What is I'm just curious. We're a little off topic here in terms of health and wellness and all that, but that's okay. Social media. What's your take on social media? Generally, what are your thoughts and your feelings about that's a softball question. I'm just curious what you're going to say.
Sure. I feel like social media is pretty prevalent today, especially as now everybody owns an electronic device or a device that connects to the internet. I feel like the use or utilizing social media will definitely push everybody's brand, or some kind of social hierarchy will be created where you need a social media to be prevalent in society.
Wow. I have a great grandson. He's a year. He'll be a year and a half. I saw him during the holidays with a handheld device, a phone, working that handheld device to watch images.
And he's 1 year old?
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Year
wow.
and a half. He's not even 2 years old.
Wow.
Working a handheld device. It's different. Growing up in social media, the pros and cons, we use it here on the show to connect with the world and to connect with people. So it gives them a forum and gives us a platform to educate. We're not here to dispense information. It does get dispensed. The primary agenda is to persuade people that there are better choices. And then sometimes I'll take a direct line and say, this is a better choice, hands down. And you'll notice that on this show. Information that I get it. Informing and persuading are two different processes. They put you in a different mindset. There's a different agenda. We're here to persuade. We're here to influence not only you, but ourselves. And try to make things better for people so that they can take charge of their health at any age. Right? Come back. We'll talk some more. I have some stories that are trending. There's another recall. Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. We still are in the shutdown, and the federal government is closed for business. And the FDA, some of the inspectors are back on. My understanding is about 160 plus inspections a week that go on across the country. And these inspectors, food inspectors, are critical to the health, wellness, and well-being and safety of people. And just because the government shut down doesn't mean that food's not going to get contaminated. Turns out, Purdue chickens. Purdue recalled chicken nuggets. Purdue Foods is recalling 68,244 pounds. That's a lot of bird of gluten-free chicken nuggets sold nationwide. What they're concerned about is that some people found wood chips, in the product. The ready-to-eat nuggets were produced October 25th, 2018. November, December, here we are, January. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food Safety, and Inspection Services. They're gluten-free. They have an expiration date on them, October 25th, 2019. There's a UPC barcode on there, too. 727, it's long, 727-45-80656. You're not going to remember that. They were shipped to retail locations nationwide, which you need to look for. The brand Purdue chicken nuggets, gluten-free. The expiration date, that can be remembered, October 25th, 2019. The Food Safety Inspection Service said in a statement, quote, the problem was discovered when the firm received 3 consumer complaints that wood was found in the product, close quote. There have been no confirmed reports of illness. Okay, so this goes to exactly what I was saying all week. What are we going to do here? You know, you're putting people at risk. You're putting people at risk. And food contamination goes on all day long, all the time. And the Food Inspection Service is woefully, Food Safety Inspection Service is woefully understaffed. Woefully. I mean, that's not a big army that they have to do this across the country, given all the food that's made, produced, manufactured, sold, marketed, whatever. My land. 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. There's a story trending this morning. I told you these stories are varied. This has nothing to do with Purdue chicken, gluten-free nuggets, whatever. But you hear me from time to time talk about this issue. It's a real issue. You'll get my point of view. You know my point of view about climate change. Climate change is real. The science of climate change is real. The climate is changing. You can wrench and argue, scream and yell, and whatever you want to do about why. My belief is that the human factor is a big factor. When you look at the science and see the change, it's happening at a pace that nature doesn't work that way. It doesn't. The change in climate, to the extent that it's occurring now, doesn't happen naturally. It just doesn't. So you figure it out. Humans are involved. Nevertheless, climate change is already having clear health effects on human health. This is according to a new study. It's a review that describes the climate change situation, and it's their words in the study, health emergency. One of the authors of the study, Dr. Christy Ebbe, said, quote, climate change is causing injuries, illness, and deaths, now from heat waves, infectious diseases, food and water insecurity, and changes in air quality, among other adverse health outcomes, close quote. That's quite an array of concerns, right? Deaths, illness and death from heat waves, infectious diseases, food and water, insecurity, and changes in air quality. She directs the Center for Health and Global Environment at the University of Washington in Seattle. So she's not some person with sitting in the basement of some wherever, making stuff up. No, she's a scientist. She's credible. According to Dr. Eby, quote, the science is clear, close quote, that for each unit increase in global warming, there's an increase in broad health risks. If no action is taken to reduce these greenhouse emissions, we're going to get to a place where maybe we're beyond the point of no return. We're not there yet. And I don't worry about the planet. The planet will survive this insult. We might not. It has survived meteor hits. It has survived the Ice Age. It will survive this too. But what about us? How are we going to do? Our health is inextricably linked to the health of this planet. Make no mistake about it. To some, that may be some abstract idea. It's as real as real can get. It's a real issue. The health of this planet is tied to your health and my health. Make no mistake about it. And I don't know why we don't get that. What happens in a small town in one part of the world affects other places as well around the world. Interdependence. We're interconnected in a very intricate way.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Don't forget, you can call us at 813 or 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us on Facebook, share us with your friends at Let's Talk Nutrition, on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition, where everything is archived by date, and it's up there with closed captioning, and we got 58,000 views.
It's good. We like it. There's a story trending, unusual. I've talked about it before on the show. I remember when Dr. Watson, Brenda Watson, was on. She talked about this concept, and it's provocative. It's a therapy. It's a treatment, and I want to get into it a little bit. I haven't talked too much about it on the show. There's a story trending in the New York Times about it, caught my eye. And I'm going to give attribution, of I always do, to the writer. Dr. Richard Klasko wrote the piece. You'll find it in the New York Times, January 18th edition, today. And it's about fecal transplant. The headline on the story is, "What is a fecal transplant and why would I want one?" Really. Now, let me set this up a little bit. The concept of fecal microbiota transplantation, it's sometimes referred to as FMT, the bacteria that live in your gut. When they do the fecal transplant, that's what's getting transplanted. It's these bacteria. Okay. That idea as a treatment of disease is been around for a couple thousand years, surprisingly. And, of course, you would find it where? Chinese literature, Chinese medicine. And since the 1950s, in the Western scientific literature, it started to appear, this treatment. Now, the theory is that if a person has some sort of disordered microbiome, your gut, where all these, it's an ecology where bacteria, these microorganisms live in the colon, order can be restored by how? By transplanting microbes from a healthy person so that these healthy microorganisms can, if you will, push or overrun the organisms that are the pathogenic organisms that are causing the disease. There's this constant battle in your gut between these how can I put it? These microbiota that contribute to your health and the pathogenic bacteria. They're fighting over what? They're fighting over real estate, places to live on your gut, and they're fighting over food. And this goes on all day long. Now, one of the strains that were this antibiotic resistant strain of bacterium, causing an infection called Clostridium difficile infection. Clostridium difficile is terrible. So that's sort of a setup. There's more that I can tell you. This I do know. Inflammatory bowel disease, other kinds of gut-related diseases, some argue are directly linked and connected to these bacteria. These pathogenic bacteria are not having enough good bacteria, if you want to put it that way. Now, this medical procedure is, what they do is they take stool, literally, from a healthy donor, and they implant it in the intestine of the patient who's being treated for the disease, whether it be Clostridium difficile or whatever. The idea, as I just alluded to, is that the stool from the donor has this mix of gut bacteria that will overrun, seed out, push out, defeat, whatever term you want to use, the unhealthy bacteria, or otherwise it'll implant or seed the intestine with these good bacteria. Now, the procedure may sound a little unappealing, to say the least. It's not unsanitary at all, according to the writer of the article, Dr. Klasko. The stool is obtained from a donor or from a stool bank where it has been screened for pathogens and processed for medical use. The donor's stool may be administered, Dr. Klasko writes, via a plastic tube inserted through the nose into the stomach or small intestine. That's kind of an indirect route to get there, but alternatively, donor stool may be introduced into the colon, and they use an enema to do that. I'm not making this up. Or a colonoscopy, or by swallowing a capsule of stool. I can see some of you shaking your head saying, what's he talking about? There's something wrong with that boy. Fecal transplant is used as a treatment for serious infections, as I was alluding to, of the colon, Clostridium difficile. It's a harmful bacterium, and it's become resistant to antibiotics. In 2011, Clostridium C. difficile caused more than 500,000 infections, 29,000 deaths, and $4.8 billion in health costs, Dr. Klasko writes. Listen to what I said. How many people died from it? Almost 30,000 people. You don't hear that reported every day, right? There's other news that gets, I was going to say trumps that story, and I understand. Dr. Klasko said there was a watershed moment in this therapy, this fecal transplant therapy. It occurred in 1958 when doctors tried the procedure as a last-ditch heroic measure, he writes, in 4 patients with life-threatening C. difficile. All 4 patients survived. I don't know if we have any listeners or viewers of Let's Talk Nutrition. If you've had this procedure done, I would beseech you to please call the show. I would love to talk to you, to get your account, your experience, what happened, what it's about. Did it help? Your take. I don't know. We have a large audience. I suspect there's somebody out there that has done it, whether or not they might be too shy or reluctant to talk about something like that. This is a listener-friendly show. We'll handle it in the most professional, delicate, and respectful way.
No, it's different from a colonic.
Feel tired, lethargic, or irritable? Take solace. You're one of millions of Americans that has trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. In fact, according to a national survey,
talking about when we head into that out of that last block. In that last block, I was talking about fecal transplants. I know that that's an edgy theme, but as treatments go, it is gaining more and more legitimacy. The article in the New York Times, written by Dr. Richard Klasko, he gives a piece of advice, and it's good advice. Don't try to do this at home by yourself. No, don't do that. It's not recommended to perform stool transplantation at home without guidance from a physician. That is a quote from the article. It's good advice. This is relatively new therapy. Now there are pros and cons about it. So as time goes on, I'll follow it. We'll see where it goes. 877-897-8255. 877-897-TALK. Anything trending on our Facebook page? Any questions or?
Well, the Fecal Transplant Foundation, I posted it's fecaltransplantfoundation.org. I posted their link to our Facebook, and they have everything that they've been working on their website, and it's the fecaltransplantfoundation.org.
You asked me a question when we were headed out of that last block, and what were you going to ask me?
Colonics. Is it the same as a colonic?
No. Okay. Colonic irrigation hydrotherapy is what you're talking about. I've had that done because we did a show on it, and I wanted to know what it was. I did like 3 or 4 colonics, and at the time I was suffering. I had the flu. Ooh. And I was sick. I mean, I was really sick. And the lady that did it, she retired. I did it, and I can tell you that I felt so much better. I felt better. I don't know if it encouraged the recovery. I'm not sure, but all I know is I felt better. Colonic hydrotherapy is they irrigate your colon. Now you can do it with the help of the practitioner, or they also have it where you can be in the room alone and they show you how to do it yourself. Some people prefer that. They get embarrassed, with somebody else there. I get it. It's a legitimate therapy. Been around a long time, but that's totally different. That's about irrigating the colon. The fecal transplant is literally transplanting microbiota from another person's colon via the feces into your colon.
Okay, so what does the microbiota do?
All right, these microbiota, these microorganisms have a symbiotic relationship with us. We need them and they need us. All throughout our evolution, they have been part of what we are as a species. The microbiome, you hear that term a lot now. The microbiome is that environment that covers all these microorganisms and what they do and so on, where they live, what they eat. It's astonishing, their contribution to health. Pathogenic bacteria also live on us and inside us. And they're microscopic. We can't see these bacteria, but make no mistake about it, the microbiota, the healthy bacteria, are waging a war against these pathogenic bacteria. Not only that, they make so many other contributions to health in terms of our overall health and wellness. I mean, the list is the microbiota, all the microorganisms of a particular site, habitat, or geologic period. All right? Turns out for us, it's our gut. They're also called flora. That's another name that's given. We have guests that come on the show that you hear them talk about flora. In fact, there's
yes.
there's a company called Flora, right?
Yes.
They're
new sponsors, yes.
They are a new sponsor. These there are about 1,000 different species of known bacteria with more than 3 million genes. The microbiota in weight can weigh up to about 2 kilograms. 3-4 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? That's amazing. 1/3 of your microbiota is common to most people, while 2/3 are specific to each one of us. It's almost like a fingerprint in a sense. Each person has a different array of microbiota in their intestine. You can use it. It's like a biological driver's license. It identifies you.
Okay. So I'm taking antibiotics. I'm taking amoxicillin or
right. So
erythromycin. I'm taking erythromycin right now.
All right. So antibiotic. What you're doing is you're killing the pathogenic bacteria that could cause an infection. But that antibiotic doesn't discriminate. It doesn't say good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad. No. It wipes out all bacteria. So when you're taking an antibiotic, you need to take a probiotic that we talk about on the show all the time. And you do that, you don't take them together. You need a 2-hour window of separation between them. Take the antibiotic, wait a couple of hours, take the probiotic.
Okay.
All right? It's very, very important to do that. The health the health benefits that they provide is a show unto itself. We have a caller, Gene. We're headed out. Don't hang up. If you can call back, we're going to go into this. Let me pull her on. Hi, Gene. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Can you hang into the second block, into the second hour? We're heading into these. Going to finish out this first hour. I know you want to talk about this fecal transplant. It's an intriguing idea. I'm glad you called. So hang on, hang tight, and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you so much. And we have a young man here from Hillsborough Community College. He's a student there getting ready to graduate. He's now going to intern and going to be assisting Gary with the social media and other production issues for the show. I was mentioning this to Gary the other day. He surprised me. I said, we need to get some interns to help with this show. And I like being around young people. I like their energy. I want to know what they're, always wanting to stay in touch. So we're glad to have James here, and we'll see what he can do. Gary will give him a couple things to do, and we love it when you call like Jean, and we're going to talk. We'll talk with her when we come back. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and globally. And welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in this 2019 edition of Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and globally. We're at the end of the week, not at the end of our rope. No, we're not there yet. And Jim LaBelle is the guest in this portion of the show. Jim's very, very good. I thought it was Steve Augustine. Jim is going to be on, and we're glad to have him. Always enjoy talking to him. In that first hour, I was talking about a story, reporting on a story written by Dr. Richard Klasko in the New York Times. And the headline on the story was, "Why is fecal transplant? What is a fecal transplant? Why should I have one?" Now, that's an edgy theme, a topic, but it's a legitimate therapy. It's gaining more and more notoriety, more legitimacy, and it's being done. And we had a listener to Let's Talk Nutrition, lives in St. Petersburg, Florida, called in the last block, so we had to carry her over. Her name is Jean, and we'll get to Jim, and Jim is listening, so I typically implicate the guest in what I'm talking about, so he should listen carefully. Jean, welcome back to the show, and by the way, Happy New Year.
New Year to you, too. Good morning.
So how did I intrigue you with a fecal transplant of all things?
Well, I talked to you about a year and a half ago. I was on a diet. I'm morbidly obese, and I had lost 15 pounds. But
I remember.
Forever. So I have since lost another 15 pounds.
Good.
And, yeah, but it's forever. I'm telling you.
It's taking a little too much time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not lose any weight for about 8-9 months. And I kept with it. I'm going, what is the matter? Not that I was getting depressed, but I was getting depressed about not losing weight. And finally, last month, it kicked in. I lost another 5, and now I lost another 3. And I just want to tell your listeners, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. And I do contribute it to that PGX.
Oh, you are taking the PGX.
Oh, yeah, I've been taking that for years.
Okay, so, and how much do you take a day?
Well, they have a little scooper thing in there. And that's what I take.
So usually that little scooper is about 5 grams or 2.5 grams. I don't know which one you have, but they ultimately recommend, if you go to pgx.com, it's all laid out there. They try to get the person to get to 5 grams mixed with water. I like the granules. Before a meal, 15-20 minutes before a meal.
And I do it different.
How do you do it?
I put it in my oatmeal. I'll make one thing of oatmeal.
That's good.
Then I split it in half, and then I take another cup and I put one of those scoops in there, and then I mix it together and divide it up. So really, eating one oatmeal dinner for 2 days. But that fills you up.
I understand. No, that's a good strategy. I get it.
I couldn't just drink it, I don't think.
Maybe. You can. It's tasteless. It doesn't smell. It has no smell, no scent, no taste. The granules, you mix it in the water. If you weren't losing weight, that means that there was not enough change in your calorie consumption. You were just breaking even.
Well, that could be true, except
no, it is true.
I've really changed. I would never believe that heading to be a vegetarian or vegan with the Mediterranean diet.
Mm-hmm.
I was a meat eater. I was brought up on meat and potatoes. We didn't have meat and potatoes. We didn't eat. I mean, that's just the way it was.
I understand.
And I'm telling you, I've gone over to vegetables. I hated vegetables in the beginning, and I'm getting to enjoy them now, and I miss them. I miss them if I don't.
Well, I'll give you a little tip. Go to Michael Greger's website, Dr. Greger, Michael Greger. His new book, How Not to Die. Dr. Greger is a allopathically trained traditional physician. Dr. Greger is very good. Go to nutritionfacts, FACTS.org, and go to his website, Dr. Greger's website. I believe that's it. Go on their Facebook page as well. Like their page, and then you can get on their stream, on their feed. And you'll start to get, messages about whole food, plant-based diet, no meat, no dairy.
Right.
Dr. Esselstyn, another proponent of that eating plan recommends no oil. He's a cardiac heart surgeon at Cleveland Clinic.
No oil.
That's
no milk.
okay. So if you start to eat that way,
No, I've been.
you will lose weight. If you're not losing weight, that means that you're breaking even. The amount of it's just math. It doesn't come out of the ether. It's just what it is. And so you did something. You changed something. When you started to lose again, you changed something. You did something that caused less calorie consumption or more burning of calories.
Cal salads.
Yeah. Okay. So all of that helps. If you can lose 1 pound a week, and of course you hear me talk about this all the time, 1 pound a week, that's very helpful. Now the fecal transplant. Now I can tell you, Gary's going to post an article entitled "The Role of Gut Microbiota in Nutrition and Health," and in that article they talk about how the gut microbiota are connected to obesity.
I know. That's why I was thinking of having it done. You did talk about it over a year ago.
I did.
And people were talking about how much weight they lost.
Yes.
And one woman had it done. She had it transferred from her daughter to her.
Yes.
But her daughter was obese, and she turned obese, and that's
Yes.
how they found out you could lose weight or gain weight.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be careful.
Right.
There are studies done showing that when the transplant is done, people will begin to lose weight. There's some dysbiosis, some imbalance in the gut microbiota, in your microbiome. And the theory is that having the transplant, fecal transplant, will introduce microbiota to bring it back into balance and to correct that dysbiosis, and people start to lose weight. There's quite a bit of literature on the connection between your microbiota and obesity. So at least you're thinking and you're trying to take charge of the situation. Go to nutritionfacts.org, get on that feed, go to their website. Go to Dr. Michael Greger website. Dr. Neil Barnard, get on his Facebook page. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn is another one. Dr. Colin Campbell is yet another proponent of it. These are all Dr. McDougall.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah. He makes they even makes food products. All of these. What's ironic, Dr. Colin Campbell's a PhD. All of those doctors I mentioned are allopathically trained physicians. They went to traditional medical schools, and somewhere along the way got into functional medicine somehow, some way, for lack of a better term. But I thank you for your call. Don't give up. You're doing the right things. Stay after it and keep us updated and informed. Will you please?
Well, thank you so much, and God bless you, and I hope you're feeling much better.
I'm talking to you.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. One call at a time. Thank you so much.
Doc, I got a question over, and it is for either you or Jim. Probiotic that you would recommend?
Listen to Let's Talk Nutrition. Even Wampanoag of America. Well, I'll get Dr. Lavelle, Jim Lavelle on. Jim, welcome back to the show. Sorry to keep you waiting at the door. I know you keep knocking and ringing the bell, but how are you? Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year, man. How you doing?
I'm good. So they make a probiotic. They have for a long time. Kyolic.
Oh, yeah. Wampanoag of America have that. Yeah, and they have human studies. They're human strain. They study viability once you take the probiotic, that it adheres to the intestinal lining and then has a doubling time, which is what you measure to find out if the probiotic's actually adhering. So Wampanoag has great probiotics.
When we come back, we'll
and once again, they put their money where their mouth is with their research, which I think is invaluable.
When we come back, we'll give you the name of the product. It's from Wampanoag of America, makers of Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, one of my all-time favorites. Jim Lavelle, great guest, very smart. He always got things to report. You'll learn, so will I. Let's talk nutrition. Jim Lavelle is my guest from Wampanoag of America. He's an educator for Wampanoag of America. Jim will make an appearance on the show from time to time. We love it when he comes on. Always has a contribution to make. We had a question about a probiotic. It turns out that Wampanoag of America does make a very good probiotic. They've been making it for a long time. Of course, they've made their reputation on Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract. Jim, welcome back. What is the name of that product?
They have a family of probiotics, but Chiodophilus is the name of the probiotic that they have, and it's quite good, and it's heat stable, so you can carry it around with you if you're traveling. It's one of the big ways that I recommend it to people is that if they're traveling for business, they can carry it, and I think that's pretty important because a lot of probiotics require refrigeration.
Yes, I know. Anyway, here we are in 2019. Is there any breaking news from Wampanoag of America and Kyolic or related products?
Yeah, I mean, I think the latest group of studies that they've come out with are once again showing some incredible benefits from aged garlic extract. So when you look at people who are obese that have added inflammatory chemistry, so they release more TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, and these are two compounds that, as you get under stress, as you get exposed to environmental burden, as your eating is poor, and your body starts ramping up that silent inflammation that we all talk about. The real compounds behind that, a few of them are interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha, and what they found was that when people took aged garlic extract, their TNF-alpha levels, especially this was for people that were overweight, their inflammatory markers significantly dropped. And why that's important is when you're overweight, and I guess it's only 80% of our U.S. population is overweight right now.
Particular disease or disorder or whatever. Could be high blood pressure. It could be any number of things. And these SNPs, as they're called, are becoming more and more utilized in clinical practice. So, as it turns out then, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract is not just for cardiovascular health.
Yeah, no, I've been talking about that for a long time. When you look at aged garlic extract, I think it's one of those superfoods. We always think of things like green tea or omega fish oils as being superfoods. You hear about goji berry, right? But when you look at the evidence, like the amount of studies published on the diverse benefits of a natural compound, I don't know of one that has a better kind of, once again, a diversity profile. It works on improving your insulin receptor signaling so your blood sugar can improve. It helps your vascular tree so that you're more resilient to stress and your blood vessels don't get stiff. It reduces plaquing in your arteries. Pretty important. Now we understand the gut dysbiosis piece, and this was like a 49-participant trial where it showed that it improved, gut microflora. It helps with immune response. So there's human studies on it showing it protects against cold and flu. So, I think that it really is one of those global health agents that really raises the bar for people. A lot of people don't want to take a lot of different things. They want to be, hey, I'm willing to take a couple of different compounds. This is one of those things they should really do. I think it's as important. Probably, I'm on the magnesium soapbox, continually. So I think it's as important as the essential nutrient, magnesium, which we're in a crisis of deficiency in this country. But I think aged garlic can do every bit as much a benefit.
877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. Listening to Jim Lavelle, educator for Wampanoag of America, makers of Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, and a number of other wonderful dietary supplements. Chiodophilus they have several products within the probiotic category, but Chiodophilus is one of them. In addition, we alluded to that as well. We come back, we'll continue our conversation with Jim Lavelle. Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, that is something that that's a product you take every day, and there are a lot of good reasons for that. and we'll make that argument.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take Hempanol, the only raw CO2 hemp extract available. It's 100%.
I'm sorry, Jim Lavelle. I'm I'm a little distracted.
What was going on in the hall? That was very distracting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
When I'm on the air, I try to stay in this room and not go outside the room because I don't want to. I try to stay in that modality, on air modality, and I had to go down the hall for a minute, and there's a lot of stuff going on out there, and you get distracted. I'm thinking about the show, what I'm doing, and so on and so on. Nevertheless, we're good. Jim Lavelle is my guest, and Jim, I could make the argument, but I would love to hear you make it. Why would Kyolic aged garlic extract be one of those supplements that you would take every day, whether you're healthy, not healthy, or someplace in between?
Well, I think we've got an epidemic that everybody's realizing called inflammation, and everybody wants to acquire. They kind of want to attribute it to, oh, you're overweight. Well, yeah, you could be overweight, but you know what? You could be of normal weight and still have a lot of inflammation going on in your body. Autoimmune disorders relate to that. Environmental burden, people that have infection, for example, a lot of interest now in mycotoxins and chronic infections like Lyme. These trigger your immune system. So I think that no matter who you are, it really benefits people to think about how they regulate their inflammatory process. And why aged garlic is so powerful is, one, we now know it works like a prebiotic, so it's going to help your microbiome. That's wonderful. Two, one of the biggest things that it does is it reduces oxidation in your body. So it lowers oxidized LDL. And for all the other things we talk about, people still die of heart disease. And they die of heart disease because their lipids oxidize. The rate of rusting goes up in your body, and it accelerates the plaquing process. Aged garlic affects that. It helps with glucose regulation. It's kind of one of those interesting compounds that when they age it, and so people will think, oh, I'll just eat more garlic. When you age the garlic, it changes the physical compounds in the garlic. It creates a new family of phytochemicals that help you across a wide range of what I think are modern problems. We all want to think that if we eat better and exercise, it's going to correct things. I got to tell you, I have 500,000 people that I've watched. I mean, I developed weight loss programs for big fitness chains, and it's more than just what I eat and how much I exercise. But because you know what, there's a lot of people that line up and go, you know what, I did everything you said and I didn't lose a pound. And that's because if you have chronic inflammatory signaling in your body, until you get the inflammation to go down enough, like the bucket no longer is spilling over, your metabolism stays shut down. So I think it's interesting that a compound like aged garlic extract has such a powerful impact on multiple markers of what's going on with people today, which is obesity, diabetes, heart disease. It's called the metabolic triad of dysfunction, and it's being written about. And that's how it's being written about in the clinical literature. You can look it up on Medscape if you wanted to. So I think it's interesting that a single compound has that amount of evidence behind it in human studies that shows people that it has benefit.
So that metabolic triad, heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, is that what you said?
That's correct. That's right.
Uh-huh. I said I've been making this argument lately, and it's such a patently obvious argument to make, but I don't know. Sometimes we miss the things that are right in front of us. Food has consequences. Lifestyle has consequences. And it's not benign. I mean, food, what you're eating makes a difference. It can harm and it can heal. It can do many, many things to you. And when you heard Jim mention heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, he's not making an argument that genetics are not involved. They are. But the lion's share of the variance for all three of those metabolically oriented diseases, related diseases, is accounted for by diet and lifestyle. Diet and lifestyle. And the obesity epidemic running in parallel with it is the type 2 diabetes epidemic, and heart disease has been the leading cause of death in our country since 1921-22, and it's still in first place. And we haven't even mentioned the C word, cancer. So, but I'm just saying, what do you do about that? And Jim's not making an argument either that if you take Kyolic Age garlic extract and don't change anything else in your life, you're going to be just fine. It doesn't work. It doesn't quite work that way, does it, James?
No, not at all. I mean, look, you know what I mean. I've been in practice for almost 40 years, and I mean, and depending on which practice I've been in, I mean, we've worked with up to 600 patients a week, teaching them a new way to view their health, and it really takes a decision on the individual's part that I want to accept health. That health is the most important thing to me, because when you're healthier and you feel better, you become a better husband, you're a better boss, you're a better parent, you're better for your community, you just feel better. And, you know, all those things kind of add up, but it does take changing your viewpoint, you know, of hey, what do I do? Now, there's a lot of confusing information out there. So, you know, you got a lot of people that would arguably say, hey, I'm trying to be healthy, but I'm listening to 18 internet gurus. And, you know, I have to laugh at that, because, you know, most of the internet gurus rarely are they in practice, seeing people day in and day out. They are just creating information that they pick up that looks like it's populous, and not seeing what really works day in and day out on people to change their lives. And I think that, you know, unless you get your head in the sand, you got to realize 1 in 2 American adults right now are either pre-diabetic or diabetic. You've got cancer, the number 2 cause of death, heart disease, the number 1 cause of death. 78% of the U.S. population is overweight, 38% is obese. And yes, calories do matter, because people will go, why eat organic gluten-free cookies that have wheatgrass in them?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can't eat a box of them at a time.
Yeah. I drink holy water while I'm robbing the bank. No, man, it doesn't. You're still committing a crime, okay?
Oh, man, you're chowing on my Catholicism here. Holy cow.
Well, that's all right. 877-897-TALK. You're listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. We're coast to coast and we're global. Jim Lavelle from Waukanaga of America. Jim is in the trench every day, clinical practice. You know, when you're in clinical practice, you got to do things that really help people, that work. You got to get from theory to practice. But as Kurt Lewin once famously said, there's nothing more theoretical than good practice and nothing more practical than good theory. You need both. And you need somebody with, you know, a good IQ like James.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss so difficult? Try PGX from Natural Factors.
Let's Talk Nutrition. Jim Lavelle is my guest. We have the LTN health question of the day. By the way, I wrote a little series that's published on my website on Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract. It's Aged Garlic Extract, AGE. There's part 1, part 2, part 3. I think there's part 4. I don't know how many parts I wrote. But you'll find it on my website. So here's the question. And you heard me, we've dealt with this, although you should get this answer. It's easy because it did come up. When you look at aged garlic extract, it's antioxidant rich, by the way. Scientifically, the studies now, what has been documented relative to aged garlic extract in terms of its health benefits? Which of the following have been established? A, cardioprotective benefits. B, liver protective benefits. C, immune enhancement. D, anti-stress benefits. Or E, all of the above. Which one of those has been documented to be associated with Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract? Cardioprotective, liver protective, immune enhancing, anti-stress, or all of the above? Here's the number to call.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
James, you're in clinical practice. Just in 30 seconds, tell the audience, because there's another question I want to get to. But to get to that one, you got to answer this one. Tell the audience what you do with people when they come into the office. What is the practice essentially?
Well, basically, it doesn't matter whether it's a world-class athlete or it's someone struggling with a health condition like autoimmunity or diabetes. I mean, what we do is we tear people's chemistry apart, and we look to figure out where their metabolic challenges are at. And then we design a program that is specific to their metabolic disruption so that we can take away the big roadblocks to their chemistry that are preventing them from getting well.
Okay.
For some people, it's detox. For some people, it's, hey, my adrenals are firing too much cortisol. For some people, it's cortisol plus blood sugar. It's understanding where is my weak spot.
When you use the term metabolic, how do you define metabolic or metabolism?
Well, your metabolism is the sum total of all the biochemical reactions going on in your body now that are making you feel the way you feel.
All right. What is the biggest challenge given what you do as a clinician?
Yep.
What is every day, day in and day out, 5 days a week, or how many days a week you work here? What's the biggest challenge for you dealing with patients? What's the hardest thing to do with patients?
Diet. Getting them to stick with diet. Yeah, it's the hardest thing because you know what? It's like we can rationalize why they should eat the right diet, but the reality is they get under stress and their brain wants comfort food, and so we have to work with kind of correcting I think intellectually that's correct. I think it's really basic that people have a primitive nervous system in a modern world, and food is like Prozac, and so people get really stressed out and overcommitted during their day, and they're going to want to eat starch and sweets and lots of saturated fat to cause their brain to go, I may not be on Xanax, this is pretty dang good. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges as I talk to, and I'm talking about bariatric physicians, not just talking to patients and discussing this, but really talking to other providers who go, yeah, you know what, that is it. How do we keep people on point?
877-897-TALK. Let's go to Tampa, Florida. Peter, what anti-stress, which one of those, or is it all of them, that have been clinically studied and shown to be associated with taking Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract? Which one?
All of the above.
All of the above and then some. It's just remarkable. That product, I just can't. And I don't know how many studies there are now. What is it, James? Over 700?
Oh my God, there's over 850 publications now, up from 760 2 years ago. Yeah, it's insane how much research they do on this particular ingredient. It's amazing.
And so, the evidence is there. There's not a person. Everybody should get up every day if they're going to. If somebody said to me, "What's one, for sure, 1 or 2 or 3 supplements I should take every day?" I have to put Kyolic aged garlic extract in that top 3 or 4 supplements for sure. Definitely. Congratulations, Peter. We appreciate you listening to the show. And James, thank you for stopping by. We always like to hear what you have to say because I know you are in clinical practice. You need to talk about things that work, things that are legitimate, things that are evidence based. We appreciate what you do. I'm sure your clients do as well, man.
Well, thanks, Michael. You guys, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you,
and I know you're going to have another great season this year.
Well, God willing, are you going to Expo West, James?
Of course.
All right.
I will see you there.
We'll look for you. Thank you so much for contributing to the show. We appreciate it so much. My best to you, and give my best to Jay Levy and that whole crew. Tell them I said hello and I asked about them.
I sure will.
All right.
Okay.
All right, James. Love you,
Bye-bye.
James. See you. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening and watching the show. We are grateful. I don't take it for granted. I don't. We're here. I always would remind my students, it's never about you. It's always about the audience. You are the audience, each and every one of you. And thanks to the stations that air the show and all the health stores that support it as well. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you. Have a lovely weekend.
Everyone's raving about the newest botanical superstar hitting the store shelves nationwide. Hemp-derived cannabidiol, or CBD, has been receiving a lot